kitchen that smelled like fresh coffee every morning. In the beginning, it was perfect. Even when money was tight, even when work was stressful, they had each other. But love doesn't stay alive by accident. Somewhere between chasing careers and managing deadlines, the conversations that once ran until 2 a.m. turned into nods across the dinner table. The small surprises disappeared. The "how was your day?" became routine checkboxes, not real questions. Mia would sit on the couch reading alone, while Chris tapped away at his laptop, barely noticing the way she looked at him. As if trying to find the boy she once knew, inside the man sitting next to her, the loneliness crept in slowly, like fog rolling over the city at dawn. Soft, quiet, inevitable. Mia tried to fight it. She suggested weekend getaways, date nights, cooking classes. Chris always agreed, always said, "That sounds nice." But the trips never got booked. The dates never happened. Life was always too busy. One evening, Chris came home smelling like rain and exhaustion. He dropped his bag by the door without a word, heading straight for the shower. Mia sat at the kitchen counter stirring her tea long after it had gone cold. She realized she couldn't remember the last time they had laughed together, or even looked at each other properly. And so when Chris finally emerged, she asked, voice steady but heartbreaking, "Do you still want to be here with me?" Chris didn't shout. He didn't cry. He just sat down, stared into his hands, and let the silence answer for him. The next morning, before the city fully woke up, Mia packed a single suitcase. She took her favorite books, her worn sweater, her journals filled with dreams they once wrote together. She left behind the coffee mugs, the shared Netflix account, the promises that no longer meant anything. On the kitchen counter, next to a half-empty bottle of wine and a photo of better days, she placed a note, "I loved you, I still do, but I love myself enough to know when it's time to walk away." Mia stepped out into the misty Seattle morning, not knowing exactly where she was going, but knowing for the first time in a long time, she was choosing herself. Mia's story reminds us of a quiet truth most people are too afraid to say out loud. Love doesn't always end with betrayal. It doesn't always end in anger. Sometimes love ends because it is forgotten. Not intentionally, not maliciously, but simply because both people stop showing up for it. They get busy. They get tired. They stop trying. And love, no matter how beautiful, no matter how real, needs to be nurtured to survive. Chris didn't stop loving Mia in one moment. He stopped loving her slowly, piece by piece, through every missed conversation, every postponed plan, every quiet dinner where two souls sat side by side but drifted oceans apart. The saddest part, Mia didn't leave because she hated him. She left because she loved herself enough to recognize when she was no longer seen. And that's a lesson many of us forget. Love is not proven in grand gestures once in a while. It's proven in small moments. In listening when you're tired, in showing up when you're busy, in reaching across the space between you again and again before the distance becomes too wide. Some heartbreaks don't come with villains, just two people quietly breaking apart because they stopped tending the garden they once promised to grow together. Mia's story isn't just about loss, it's about courage. The courage to recognize that even if you still love someone, you deserve a love that chooses you every single day. Not just in the beginning, not just when it's easy, but always. After Mia's story was shared, the comment section became a place of quiet reflections, a place where people whispered their own heartbreaks, where strangers recognized each other in the silent spaces between lost loves. Let's take a look at some of the most powerful comments from the community. Each one, a small light in the darkness. Comment on you fading connections. Sometimes love doesn't die. It just gets buried under all the things we forget to say, and all the time we forget to give. 16 tweets. Likes. So true. Love needs tending like a fire. If you stop feeding it, even if you didn't mean to, eventually, it fades to ash. Comment. 2. You walked away quietly. It's heartbreaking how two people can sit right next to each other and still feel miles apart. Mia didn't leave because she stopped loving him. She left because he stopped noticing. 14.7K likes. Beautifully said. Sometimes the real heartbreak isn't being hated. It's being invisible to the person you once meant everything to. Comment. 3. Still healing. You can love someone with your whole heart and still have to walk away if they don't show up for you. Self-love is the hardest kind of love, but it's the most necessary. 13.9K likes. Exactly. Loving someone doesn't mean sacrificing your own needs, your own worth, or your own happiness. Comment. Silent goodbyes. The saddest goodbyes are the ones where there's no villain, no big betrayal, just two people who stopped choosing each other every day. 15.4K likes. This hits so deep because sometimes what ends a love story isn't hatred or betrayal. It's simply neglect. Comment. Choose yourself first. Mia's letter broke me. I love you, but I love myself more. That's a kind of bravery we don't talk about enough. Were 8K likes. Absolutely. Choosing yourself after loving someone so deeply. That's not weakness. That's the truest form of strength. Reading these comments reminds us love isn't just about the moments we share when everything feels easy. It's about the moments when it's hard, when showing up, listening, and choosing each other again and again is the only thing that keeps the flame alive. And if you're listening to this wondering whether it's okay to choose yourself, let Mia's story and the voices of everyone who stood with her remind you, yes, it's not just okay, it's necessary. When old messages keep you stuck, Ryan's story of choosing the future. Reddit, true story. Welcome back. Sometimes the hardest ghosts to outrun aren't the ones hiding in the shadows. They're the ones living quietly in your memories. In the old messages you thought you had forgotten. In the songs you used to sing together. In the way your heart still stumbles when you hear their name. Moving on sounds easy when you say it out loud. Delete their photos. Block their number. Start over. But real life isn't that clean. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes you don't even realize you're still holding on until someone new reaches for your hand and you find yourself hesitating. Tonight's story comes from the vibrant streets of Austin, Texas. A city full of music, laughter, and late-night lights. But even in a place as alive as Austin, some memories are harder to silence. Ryan thought he had moved on. He thought he was ready to build something new. But when the past comes knocking in the form of old photos, late-night texts, and bittersweet memories, choosing the future becomes harder than he ever imagined. If you've ever had a ghost from your past, reach out. If you've ever struggled between what was and what could be, then Ryan's story might just feel a little too familiar. Stay with me, because sometimes the most dangerous goodbyes are the ones that were never fully spoken. Ryan, 30 years old, had spent months rebuilding his life. After Jenna, he thought he had closed the chapter neatly, the kind of mature breakup people talk about but rarely experience. They had promised to stay friends, promised to be happy for each other, but promises made in the warmth of old love often wither in the cold reality of moving on. Lily entered Ryan's life like the first spring after a long winter. She was kind, without being naive, strong, without being harsh. With Lily, Ryan felt calm. No roller coaster of emotions, no constant anxiety over where they stood. Just two people choosing each other quietly every day. Until Jenna texted, "At first it was harmless. Hey, saw this meme and thought of you. Remember that road trip we took to New Orleans? Amis?" Ryan replied politely, out of habit, out of guilt. But soon the messages grew more personal. Nostalgia dripped from every word. Late-night texts, photos from their old apartment. Little reminders of a life Ryan had tried so hard to leave behind. Lily noticed. She noticed the way Ryan would pause before replying, the way his mood shifted after certain messages, the way he smiled not at her, but at a memory someone else had sent him. One evening, as they sat together on Ryan's worn-out couch, Lily put down her tea, looked him in the eyes and asked quietly, "Are you here with me, or just trying to forget someone else?" Ryan's heart cracked a little. He realized that by keeping Jenna's messages alive, he was keeping a ghost between himself and Lily. And no new love can truly grow while you're still watering the garden of an old one. That night, Ryan wrote one final message to Jenna. "Jenna, thank you for the memories. Thank you for the love we once had. But I can't keep looking backward. I wish you all the happiness in the world, but it's time for both of us to move forward separately." He sent it. Then, with trembling hands, he archived their old conversations. He didn't delete them. He wasn't ready for that yet. But he put them away, out of sight, out of reach. When he turned back, Lily was still there, sitting quietly, waiting. And for the first time, Ryan realized letting go of the past isn't about forgetting. It's about making space for something new, something real. Ryan's story is a powerful reminder that sometimes moving on isn't about anger. It isn't about forgetting. It's about choosing again and again to stop living in the echoes of what once was. You see, the past has a way of calling out to us, especially the parts that were beautiful, the parts that felt like home. Jenna wasn't trying to hurt Ryan. She was holding on to something familiar, something that for a long time had been her comfort, her history, her what if. And Ryan wasn't wrong for remembering. He wasn't wrong for feeling a twinge of sadness when those memories resurfaced. But there comes a point, a quiet, pivotal point, when you have to choose. Do you keep feeding the past because it's familiar? Or do you turn toward the unknown, the uncertain, and give the future a chance to breathe? Lily didn't ask Ryan to erase his memories. She didn't ask him to hate his past. She only asked for one thing: presence. The real, vulnerable, honest presence of someone who is no longer tethered to yesterday. And that's the lesson here. Love is not about pretending the past didn't exist. It's about choosing someone fully without shadows standing between you. Letting go doesn't mean denying the beauty of what was. It means honoring it, thanking it for what it taught you, and then bravely closing the door. After Ryan's story was shared, the comment section became a place where thousands of people quietly admitted their own struggles. Struggles with letting go, struggles with nostalgia, and struggles with choosing the future over the past. Let's take a look at some of the most heartfelt comments that truly captured the spirit of this journey. Comment 1: moving on matters. Sometimes the past doesn't knock to come back. It knocks to see if you're still weak enough to open the door. 17.2K likes. Wow, that hits hard. Because moving on isn't about not remembering. It's about choosing not to reopen wounds that are trying to heal. Comment 2: to ghost of goodbyes. Nostalgia is tricky. It only shows you the highlights, never the full picture of why it ended. 15.9K likes. Exactly. Memory has a way of painting everything in softer colors, but we owe it to ourselves to remember the whole story, not just the beautiful chapters. Comment 3: choose. New beginnings. Letting go doesn't mean you didn't love them. It means you love yourself enough to make space for someone who's here now. Likes. So true. Choosing yourself. Choosing what's real. It's not selfish. It's necessary for real love to grow. Tamad. Healing. Jenna didn't need closure. She needed to know if she still had a place in his heart. And Ryan, by choosing Lily, finally closed that door with kindness. 13.6K likes. Beautifully put. True closure isn't about anger or blame. It's about choosing peace for yourself and for the people you once loved. Comment 5: you as silent promises. Sometimes loyalty to your past becomes betrayal to your future. Ryan made the right choice, even if it hurt. 16.1K likes. Powerful words. Staying too long in the past can cost you the future you deserve. Ryan's courage to move forward is something many people are still trying to find within themselves. Reading these comments shows us that letting go is one of the hardest, but also one of the most courageous acts of love. It's not about forgetting the people who shaped us. It's about honoring them and then gently placing them in the past where they belong. If you're standing at that crossroads wondering if you're allowed to choose yourself, the answer is yes. You are allowed, and sometimes that's the bravest choice you'll ever make. She found the messages and left the ring. Sophia's heartbreaking goodbye. Reddit true story. Welcome back. We all dream of that perfect love story, the one where promises are kept, where rings exchanged in the glow of city lights mean forever, where you think you know the person lying next to you better than you know yourself. But what happens when that dream, that beautiful, carefully built dream, shatters? Not with a scream, not with a door slammed shut, but with a silent discovery at 2 a.m. A string of messages not meant for your eyes. A truth hiding in plain sight. Tonight, we travel to Miami, a city known for its bright beaches, colorful nights, and sometimes heartbreaks that hide behind the most beautiful sunsets. Sophia thought she had it all. A man she loved, a ring that symbolized forever. But in one quiet, shattering moment, she learned forever can be a lie whispered between two different futures. If you've ever trusted someone so deeply, it felt like breathing. And if you've ever had that trust torn away without warning, then Sophia's story will feel like an ache you recognize too well. Stay with me, because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to take off the ring and walk away before the storm destroys you. Sophia, 29 years old, had spent years building her dreams alongside Daniel. They weren't just partners in love, they were partners in life. Morning coffees, late-night talks. Sunday afternoons curled up on the couch, planning a future filled with hopes, laughter, and a small beach house they swore they'd retire to one day. When Daniel proposed on a warm evening by the ocean, Sophia felt it. That rare certainty, that quiet voice inside saying, "This is it. This is home." They spent months planning the wedding. Guest lists, flower arrangements, playlists that told the story of their love. But in the rush of dresses and invitations, something else began to creep in. Distance. Daniel became distracted, evasive. Long hours at work, meetings that ran late, trips he didn't want Sophia to join. Sophia told herself it was just stress, that pre-wedding nerves were normal. But deep down, she knew. One night, after Daniel fell asleep on the couch, still wearing his work clothes, Sophia sat quietly beside him, staring at the man she thought she knew better than anyone. And on impulse, half fear, half instinct, she picked up his phone. The password was still the same. A small kindness that made the betrayal hurt even more. There, in a string of messages she was never meant to see, was the truth. Flirty texts, promises of soon. Memories being made with someone who wasn't her. Sophia didn't cry. Not at first. She just sat there frozen, feeling something inside her unravel quietly, like a thread being pulled from the seams of a dress she thought would never tear. She didn't wake Daniel. She didn't scream. She stood up, walked into their shared bedroom, and slowly removed the engagement ring from her finger. She placed it on the kitchen table next to his empty coffee cup. The same cup he used every morning, the same way he had once reached for her hand, without thinking. And on a scrap of paper, shaking but steady, she wrote, "You made your choice. Now I'm making mine. I choose myself." Sophia packed a small bag, not much, just a few clothes, her favorite journal, a novel she had never finished reading. She didn't slam the door when she left. She didn't need to. The silence she left behind was louder than any goodbye she could have spoken. Outside, the streets of Miami buzzed with life. Neon lights, music floating through the humid air, the world still spinning. But for Sophia that night, it wasn't about endings, it was about beginnings. A new life, a new promise, made not to someone else, but to herself. Sophia's story reminds us of something we often forget, that sometimes the most powerful love story you can write is the one you write with yourself. Trust isn't just about loyalty, it's about safety. It's about knowing that you can put your heart in someone else's hands and trust they won't crush it when no one's watching. Daniel didn't just break a promise. He broke the quiet, invisible bond that makes love more than just a feeling, that makes it a home. And Sophia, she could have stayed. She could have forgiven out of fear. Fear of starting over. Fear of loneliness. Fear of wasted years. But she chose something braver. She chose herself. Choosing yourself after betrayal is not easy. It means facing the empty spaces, facing the broken dreams, facing the cold mornings without the person you once believed would never leave your side. But it also means reclaiming your worth. It means looking at the broken pieces and building something stronger. Not for anyone else, but for you. Sophia didn't lose that night. She didn't walk away empty-handed. She walked away carrying the one thing Daniel could never give her, the knowledge that she is enough. With or without a ring, with or without someone to promise her forever. And maybe that's the real forever. After Sophia's story was shared, it resonated deeply with thousands of people who have faced the same painful choice. The choice to stay and settle, or walk away and save yourself. Let's take a look at some of the most powerful comments, reflections that capture the strength, the sadness, and the courage it takes to choose yourself. Comment: strong enough. Walking away from someone you love isn't weakness. It's knowing your value when they forget it. 18,2K likes. Exactly. It's easy to stay and harder to leave, but sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away with your dignity intact. Comment 2U, quiet strength. The loudest goodbye isn't the one you scream, it's the one you whisper to yourself when you realize you deserve better. 16,9K likes. Beautifully said. Sophia didn't need a dramatic exit. Her silence, her choice, it spoke louder than any confrontation ever could. Comment 3. Love is respect. If someone truly loves you, you'll never have to wonder where you stand. Sophia deserved more than stolen promises and hidden lies. 15,4K likes. So true. Real love is clear. It's honest. It's never something you have to second-guess. Comment 4U, healings. Sunset. Sophia didn't lose anything that night. She reclaimed herself, and that's more valuable than any ring. 17,7K likes. Absolutely. Losing someone who couldn't stay loyal isn't a loss. It's the beginning of a stronger, freer life. Comment 5U, braver. Now. Sometimes the best thing you can do is take the love you gave them and give it back to yourself. Chattington. 16,2K likes. Perfectly said. The love we pour into the wrong people isn't wasted. It's a lesson, a foundation we can use to build a life that honors who we are. Reading these comments reminds us, love isn't just about finding the right person. It's about being brave enough to leave the wrong one, even if your heart still aches for the promises that were never kept. If you've ever had to walk away from someone you thought would be your forever, know this: you didn't lose. You simply made room for the kind of love you truly deserve.